Building a brand takes a lot of energy. It takes energy to show up as a leader, to be creative, to create something new. It's a lot. How would you like to expand your energy as an entrepreneur? Welcome to the Brand Gravity Show. I am your host, psychology-driven brand strategist, Kaye Putnam. And today we are having a fascinating conversation from an amazing woman, an expert. Her name is Monique Lindner, and she is teaching us about time management, energy, but in a deeply personal way, in a way that is sure to inspire you. I can't wait for you to hear her story. I had full body goosebumps while she was sharing. Monique Lindner, aka the Time Alchemist, was born in former East Germany with 2 chronic health conditions. Yet she started to work by the age of 13 while also going to school. This led to her dying of a cardiac arrest by age 19 and being clinically dead for 25 seconds. Monique is an adventurous spirit on the autism spectrum whose mission is to dismantle systems that keep holding us back and instead create structures that bring freedom, crush glass ceilings, and empower us to live full force. Monique is the creator of the Time Method and published her book under the same name in the first lockdown of 2020, putting her own signature framework to the test. She's been featured in several top magazines such as Forbes, spoke at TEDx in 2017, and was interviewed on a range of diverse podcasts to share her wisdom and knowledge around leadership, living a life a day, time, and how we can slow down to speed up. I'd love to hear what brought you to this work around energy and around helping people understand the way that they navigate their own energy.
Yeah. First of all, I want to say I'm an autistic person. So if I talk a lot, feel free to say like, hey, let's make it a little more precise. Context matters to autistic people a lot. So I'm autistic, so I have a lot of context. So now to the answer. So basically, since I was little, I was very efficient with my time because I was in a lot of pain. I was born with chronic health issues. And so I was always making sure that I kind of used my time very wisely, not knowing I was doing that, but this is what I was done. And so when I was 13, I started working besides school. I was in high school, but I started working because, my dad lost his job and there's a whole backstory to that. But I found that I loved working for a lot of different reasons. First of all, I was put in leadership positions really early on, probably because I was just always straight up. I said what I had to need to say, and I didn't mind taking responsibility, whereas every other person around me would always duck away. The second was I developed this coping mechanism of finally finding that I was validated from around, my inner circle, kind of like family and other people who finally appreciated what I was doing. Whereas before I was just weird, too loud, too this, to that, to you do everything wrong. Don't do it this way. You name it. You probably experienced similar things, I would guess. And so when I was working, suddenly that was a little different. I was doing things right, or I was doing things at least the way it was supposed to be. And mind you, I'm from Germany. In Germany, we have rules for every single thing. And we're very precise and we're always on time. And that's not only a cliche, we're living that out. Okay. So fast forward, when I was 19, I would already work for 6 years straight, no day off. I would sleep 2 to 4 hours max a night. Most weekends, I wouldn't even sleep. I would literally go to, and I tell you why in a second, but I would literally go to school on a Friday morning and I would return home on a Monday afternoon after school. And I also have to say that I moved out when I was 17. So my parents wouldn't actually see the not misery, but the peak of this hustle and grind that I was in. So by the age of 15, I had 3 full-time jobs besides my school. And a lot of people say, like, how can you have 3 full-time jobs, yada, yada. Well, it was 1 full-time job during the week and 2 during the weekend. So I would jump around between all of them. And when I had time, and this sounds crazy, but I would start going to parties because that was also the environment I was in. So I soon started drinking alcohol, and now I know why. It was also a coping mechanism with all of the loud, noisy environment that I was in and all of the people. And mind you, I didn't know I was autistic until 3 years ago. And so to deal with all of that, like all of the sensory input, I just numbed myself out just enough with alcohol. So between 13 and 19, those 6 years, I didn't have one day off. I basically didn't sleep most of the weekends. I slept only 2 to 4 hours every night. I had 2 university degrees that I was doing at the time and those 3 full-time jobs. I also drank a very unhealthy amount of coffee, and I would probably not eat the most healthy food. And if you remember, I mentioned in the beginning, I had health challenges I was born with. So those were neurological and nervous system diseases. And not to mention, I was born with a kidney failure, but they kind of fixed that one. So one day I got home from one of those jobs and was in between 2, and I would make one of those ham and cheese sandwiches or whatever unhealthy thing you would eat that wouldn't cost a lot. And I got one of my migraine attacks. So migraines and epileptic seizures was what I was dealing with mostly at this time, or for all of the time, actually. And the migraine hit really different that day. And like I was breaking down and I lost consciousness, and I hit with the back of my head on the bathroom floor. No, sorry, I hit it on the bathtub, on the edge of the bathtub, and then would fall forward, and with the forehead I would hit it on the bathroom floor. And so I would be completely knocked out, and because of how hard I hit my head, I got an epileptic seizure from that during a migraine attack. I woke up luckily from unconsciousness, and I was cramping. I don't know if anyone of the listeners had or seen an epileptic seizures. Is not fun to watch, and you can die of it within the first 12 minutes. At least at that time, that was what science said, right? And my phone was too far to get there, and I just didn't know what to do. And I would cramp up. I would, sorry for the details, vomit on myself, like all of the things. And the pain was so strong that I knew if I didn't get to my phone to call my parents and have them call an ambulance, that I wouldn't make it. So I don't know how, to be honest, but I was crawling, like pulling myself on the floor. I had a carpet with my hands to my bag that was like a few meters in the living room. And I called my parents, and I literally said to them, you have 5 minutes. I'm not going to make this. I'm out of here. Something like that. And I said, bring an ambulance. And so basically the short version is that they arrived with the ambulance. And when they administered medication, I lost consciousness, and I actually died of a cardiac arrest in that moment. And I was clinically dead for 25 seconds. So I left my body, and I was hovering in the right up-hand corner of my very yellow room. I was already very yellow by this time. And I looked down, and I was like, oh, wow, look at you. With your parents there. And wow, there's a lot of ambulance stuff here. Crazy. And then suddenly it hit me. So I'm like, why am I seeing all of that? Like, who am I if me is down there? And then obviously you kind of realize, wow, wait, that must be me, like my soul. And that's just my body. And I'm like, strange. Well, they're taking care of me. So I turned around into the corner, but suddenly there wasn't a room anymore. It was just bright white light, just extremely bright white. The worst bright white light. I always say disgusting because I don't have another word. It makes you feel nausea, so bright white, like in a hospital. I don't know if you've been in an operating theater, but it's like so white you can't even open your eyes. And so I started kind of being pulled into this light where there was like one, almost like a ball at the end of it, although there was no end, but like far ahead.
Mm.
And I got pulled into it. And then suddenly those life moments popped up in front of me, almost like in the movies where they actually talk about out of body experiences, right? And so one of them was like a fight with my ex-boyfriend where he gifted me a rose and then I smashed a rose over the front of his car. And then my grandfather berating me and they'd be discriminating and just like the typical bullshit that he's talking to me and like all these type of life experiences. And seriously, I thought like, wow, is that my life? Like what? And so I drifted faster and faster towards the lights until the moment I realized, oh, wow, once I hit this light, that's it. That's it. And I was 19. And in this moment, and this sounds also conscious, but it wasn't conscious at all. I think that was all work that I've done afterwards about this experience. But I just started turning around back to where my body was in the room and almost like swimming against the current. It was literally like a fight for my life. And then something hit my chest as if a sledgehammer would hit it from like 10 meters of distance or something. Like it was so painful. And that was the first heartbeat that restarted basically my life, right? It was so painful. And I opened my eyes and I saw my parents. My mom was talking way too loud and way too much. And just like, are you okay? And then it was just like, obviously, what am I gonna? No. And the fact that no one realized that I was clinically dead, not even the ER stuff, didn't make it any better. And so I just went and fainted just because it was so overwhelming. And a few moments later, I came back and then, and so I went to my neurologist the next day, who also had a degree in psychology. And he asked me, so what happened when you woke up? And I was like, I realized how shit my life is. Like, I thought once you leave your body, you have all these beautiful memories and everything. I'm like, honestly, the next time I die, I better have a better life story to pop up in my experience. This was horrible. And he looked at me and he was 72 by this time already. He was retired, just working for fun. He looked at me and he's like, so what are you going to do about it? I'm like, yeah, I have to change that. Isn't like, I have to change how I live. Like, he's like, so yeah, but what are you going to change? I'm like, I think I just live for everyone else. Like, even though I tell myself I'm not, but I do everything that they tell me not to do. So I'm basically still living just for them. I'm just rebelling against them, but I'm not doing what I want or what I really love to do. And I don't even know what that is. And I was 19. And I was like, wow, this should be the best time of my life, right? Like I'm entering my 20s and everything. Like, wow. Okay, so that was a very long story still to answer your question. But that was the beginning of me really diving into time, energy. I actually studied by this time already events, process, and project management. So that's very interesting that I was in this environment already, but not utilizing it for myself. And obviously the lesson, it had to come back around another time. To be very honest, I didn't learn the full lesson when I was 19. It hit me really hard when I was 24 again, but then I really learned it. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that story. I had full body goosebumps at several places. So clearly life had to change. Clearly this wasn't sustainable. Give us the after picture. So like fast forward, I don't know how old you are now, but fast forward to your modern version of the learnings and the work that you're doing. What do you know now that was prompted by that experience?
So what I know now, and now I'm 36, I know how precious the small things in life are. So you will see me every single time, and I've never done that before, that experience, walk out, and when the sun hits my face, I'm just like, oh my God, the sun is out. And I'm so excited about small things like yellow. And I don't know if your audience has ever seen me before, but everything about me is yellow. And I had that by this time already, but I don't think I appreciated it enough. And everything, like I order food that's yellow just because it's yellow, and then it tastes better too. But like even like eating yellow ice cream, or I don't know, things like this, it's just much more exciting. And I have also huge life experiences. Like by this time, I actually decided, okay, I need to change my life. So I started traveling. And I traveled to over 45 countries by now, and I have lived in 9 of them for a longer period of time. And now I'm living in Thailand. That's obviously not my home country. So, and it's incredible because I don't think if I didn't have this experience, I would have gone out and be like, I only live once. Well, now I live 3 times already because I died twice. And so I'm only living 3 times. Uh, thanks, universe. But let's just go for it, because if not now, then when? And if not me, then who? Who's going to live my life for me, right?
We're going to get right back to the interview. For the next few seconds, I'm going to share with you my brand Clarity Collective and how it can help you grow your income and impact. If you're an entrepreneur who feels stuck or uncertain about what makes your brand stand out, then this is for you. The Brand Clarity Collective is a mastermind multiplied by mentorship. It's part online curriculum, part digital mastermind, and it's designed to help you get crystal clear brand clarity so you attract more perfect clients and grow your business. We have a thriving community of entrepreneurs who are all smart and driven. As a member of the collective, you get an all-access pass to all of my best branding courses, as well as access to our private community where you can connect with like-minded entrepreneurs and get feedback and support directly from me on our coaching calls. The Brand Clarity Collective is priced at just $297 per month. And after 6 months, you keep lifetime access to all of the courses. To learn more and to see if it's right for you, head over to my homepage at kayeputnam.com. There's a big section where you can click to learn more. I'll also include the link in the show notes wherever you are listening or watching. All right, let's get back.
And I have this concept that I share with my clients, but also friends and everyone who kind of wants to hear it. It's called Live a Life a Day. And even though on days where I'm working or only working, whatever, I want to be okay by the end of the day to die again, even though I hopefully don't. But if by the end of the day, I can be at least 80% content with what I have done and how I've done it and how I showed up, even if I maybe don't feel good, if the day was maybe a terrible one, if I was hit by the bus and if I had to die that day, would I be okay with it? Did I live a full life in that day? Did I maybe tell the people that I love that I do love them? Or did I at least show them? Or did I don't know, did I cuddle my dog often enough? Or did he just hang out because I have a dog and that's what they do? Or so, you know what I mean? Like, did I use every moment? And that's really a lesson that I had to learn a few times, not only from the first time. And to also love myself in whatever way who I am, because how I grew up being so, also somewhat abused about who I am emotionally a lot, and like made wrong about who I am. But no one cares when I die. No one's going to be on my grave, or maybe they will. I don't know. I actually don't know. But will they be there and talk about like, oh my God, she was always too much and always too loud and always too these? Or will they talk about the good things about me, Like, let's just hope they talk about the good things.
Yes, exactly. I love this conversation because I feel like as entrepreneurs, we get so caught up in the destination. We're like, okay, when I get to this amount of revenue, or when I get to this level of success, when I grow my audience to this number of people, then I can do X, Y, and Z. Then I can show up as my unapologetic self. Then I can, I don't know, take that vacation for the first time in forever. But you're reminding us that life is lived right now. It really matters how you're doing this in the day to day, not just the place that you're going towards. When you work with your clients or even with yourself, what do you recommend that people do with this information? Like, how do we actually start to, I don't know if you want to take it in the energy direction of like, how do we manage our energy, or how do we find this bright, sunshiny yellow joy in our life every day? What do you recommend?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, a lot of people find this a little morbid, but I do believe we just have to get used to thinking about our death. And there's actually a great philosophy around this in Bhutan. I don't know if you have heard of this country. They're actually making it, is it obligatory if you have to do it?
Yep.
So obligatory to basically imagine and envision kind of your death. And it's not about how you die or whatever, just about the death itself. Meaning like, now you're gone, what's going to happen? Who's going to live without you, and how they're doing this and all those kind of things. Just your non-existence, basically, right? In the physical way. And the reason why they do that is because then your gratitude and your appreciation about your own life is going to grow on the other side. So they're increasing daily contentment and happiness and fulfillment by thinking about them being dead, which sounds so counterintuitive. But I have this sometimes with my clients, to be very honest, when they're overloading themselves, they're stressing themselves out, I make them aware of how every single step of our life, every moment, everything you do is one step further towards death. And the thing is, that's not something that I recommend thinking about all the time, because it can freak one out or it can look in the wrong angle. But if you look at it, time is the only non-renewable resource that we have. The only one. Money can come and go. Energy is infinite. We are just drained of energy all the time because we don't know how to really foster it and manage it properly and recreate it for ourselves. But time is never going to come back. You'll never be the same age that you're now, right? For this moment, our time, and I don't want to say it's running out because that sounds really like paranoid, right? But we got to put some thought into it. So in regards to your question, the question is not like, how do you manage your time, whatever. The question is, what is really important to you? What do you value? What do you want to prioritize in your life? Because at the end of the day, and there has been studies, you won't be lying on your deathbed and be sad about that you didn't work enough. There hasn't been a person being like, I should have worked more. Damn, you know? Most likely you will be looking back and wish you had been living your life more fully, or be more yourself, or say the things that you really wanted to say. So why are you waiting for your deathbed to do these things instead of actually doing them right now? Now, that's easier said than done. We know that. But you can sit down and work out a little plan for yourself. What do you value in your life? And you can look actually where you spend your time and your energy and your money already. Most likely you value these type of things. So how can you prioritize them more? And if they're all things, are you sure you want to prioritize and value only things? Maybe are you too attached to them in a more unhealthy kind of way, and maybe you want to refocus to relationships, connections, you know, like experiences, creating moments. Because on your deathbed, you won't say like, I'm so glad I can take my 10 cars into my grave. You want to say, oh my God, I remember all of these beautiful experiences with the people that were really important to me, you know? So I feel like prioritization and values is really what you want to look into first.
Such great advice. My ears perked up when you mentioned that people often don't know how to regenerate their energy or how to manage it. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, absolutely. So the very first thing that I do with people, and I love that the most because they look at me and be like, that has nothing to do with energy. And yes, my friend, it does. expectations, standard, boundaries.
Mm.
You gotta know what your standards are. And please have as high standards as you want. There aren't any too high standards. That's just some BS that TikTok and Instagram is spreading on their reels or whatnot, because those standards are too high for the people that are not meant to be around you. So put those standards up, put them up. And now the difference between standards and demands is that you are gonna have to obviously keep those standards up yourself. You can't demand anything from other people that you're not bringing to the table as well, right? And that's where a lot of people get somehow a little bit tangled up, I feel like. And so put up these standards, but keep them for yourself as well. That's also integrity. Now, expectations. You cannot expect something from other people if they don't know what you're expecting. So be really clear, communicate openly, and just say, hey, you're my friend. I expect that you support me and you cheer me on and this and this and this. You don't have to use the word expect. You can say, I wish, I desire, I would love for you to do this. But then have real conversations. Is this in your capacity? Can you do this? How can we do this for each other? Because again, if you have expectations of others, are you going to keep them up for yourself as well? Boundaries is actually one of the most important things for the energies to stay as high as possible. If you just say yes and amen to everything and everyone, you're going to say no to yourself every single time. So you're going to have to think about, can you afford to say no to yourself? And I would say, no, you can't. You want to say yes to yourself as often as possible. And that means you may have to say no more often to other people, other appointments, other socialization, other events, other whatever, and be really discerning about whom you have in your circle, what you have in your circle, where and what you're listening to or watching or get in your sphere, right? And how this influences you. And if you feel that something or someone is draining you, well, distance yourself. Set those boundaries, right? Besides that, though, it's really important to work, for example, also with your chrono-energy types. And I talk about this in my book, but also online a lot. And chrono-energy types are a mix of your chronobiology. That means your natural 24-hour circle of your body. That is like sleep-wake cycles, temperature cycles, hormonal cycles. They're all coming together into one like 24-hour, more or less, clock for your body. And I have developed what I call chrono-energy types because I've seen with all of my clients and all those hundreds of people that work together over the past like decade, and a pattern, and I love patterns, I'm so into patterns, that with those certain chronobiology types, there are like 4 different ones out there that are usually called like dolphin, owl, wolf, and bear, I think. There are certain energy waves that you live through each and every day. And obviously they're different for every person, but you can see a pattern behind it, right? So some people wake up in the morning, they're immediately full of energy, and then they crash just after lunch, and then it gets a little bit back up again. And then at evening, they flat out. And others, they wake up and they're like, nothing works without a coffee. But then they go a little bit up, lunch is their peak, and then afternoon it goes down, and then evening they crash. Like, you know, they have these waves. And so it combined them and called them chrono-energy types. So if you are able to find out what your chrono-energy type is, and it's very easy, you can do this on my website. But if you find it out and you follow your natural energy waves and do the activities that go with the energy. So if it's high, you do high effort activities. If it's low, you do low maintenance activities. Then you have so much more energy and you can actually even it out a little bit more instead of having these big dips and crashes. And so then you're able to maintain your energy much easier.
Yes, we will link to that quiz in the show notes and in the YouTube description, depending on where you're watching or listening to this. I took the quiz. I think I was a morning type. I can't remember the full phrase of it. And I've absolutely noticed that in my own rhythms and schedule is if I want to get creative work done, I have to do it in the morning. So I have to prioritize it then. I think it's such a beautiful insight to know when your energy is the highest, especially when you're demanding so much in terms of like creativity or leadership from yourself. You have to be operating from your best or you won't have the impact that you are hoping for. So we will absolutely link to that. Yes.
Yeah.
So other than the quiz, where can people find you online?
Yeah, so my website is the timealchemist.co. And everything is basically on there. It's the free quiz. You can also have a free morning routine guide, which I love. A lot of people have downloaded that already, where I explain to you how to probably design a morning routine specifically for your outcome. Nice. And other than that, on Facebook, really, I'm not the biggest Instagram person. I'm actually going to shut it down soon because I'm just like, meh. So Facebook, really, I have a public profile and I put all of my best content there. So that's the best way to find me.
Amazing. And for those people that are listening that were so inspired and want to take action on what they learned from you today, what would you recommend that they do?
I would start really with getting very clear on your core values. So find what is it that are your 3 core values, the top 3. Usually it's something like integrity and love and like a lot of these type of like things. And then see where this is lacking in your life and in your business. Where do you not act in integrity or in love and like truth or whatever your core values are, and start improving these type of areas. And what does it look like when you actually show up in these core values? And I would do the same with prioritizing the things that are really important to you. And that needs a little bit of extra honesty. You need to be a little bit extra honest with yourself, because just because you're really good at something doesn't mean you love doing it enough. And you want to look at it and be just really clear, like, am I doing it because I really love doing it? Like, am I really passionate about it? Am I really enjoying it? Am I feeling fulfilled? No matter if that makes me money or if that gives me an engagement, like, would I do this if nobody looked or clapped for me? Would I still do this? Okay, this is something on the love list, right? But if you have something that you're really good at and you're doing it primarily because it makes money, whatever, great. Like, I'm not saying cut it out. I'm just saying notice and put it on the, I'm really good at it money list. But if you want to go prioritize, you may want to prioritize a few things from the love list more. And you'll see, funny enough, even though that's counterintuitive, it will have an impact on your money too.
So good. So good. This conversation was amazing on all levels. Thank you so much for making the time, Monique. And I appreciate you very, very much.
Thank you, Kaye. It was amazing to be on. I loved it. And I just love being here. And thank you so much for inviting me.
Be sure to take Monique's quiz. It is in the show notes on my website, kayeputnam.com/podcast. Or you can find it if you're watching on YouTube right here in the description. Now, if you need help or just need a direction to go in terms of identifying what your core values are, if you take my brand archetype quiz, it will point you to your top archetype, which is strongly correlated with universal human values. So if you're the explorer, your core value is probably something related to freedom. If you're the sage, it's probably something related to truth, and so on. Of course, you can do your own self-reflection and discovery as well, but that is another tool in your toolbox to help you live your life with intention and energy and conviction. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Monique, and I will see you in the next episode.